Ackerman, who was the executive producer, was interested in doing a show about a witch. He then hired Saul Sachs to write the pilot.
I remember telling my wife, you know, this is a good script. There's only one thing wrong with this. I don't think it could make a series. Because if this woman could do magic and solve all her problems, that's what drama is made of. Conflict, problems.
Sam, I'm not saying you were entirely wrong. Sheila had it coming, but you went a little far.
For a while there, it was kind of hard to tell which witch was which.
Sam.
And then I came up with the idea, her husband doesn't want her to do it. She's trying to break the habit.
I'm only trying to say that you broke your promise. You gave me your word, no more,
stuff. It's a little harder to break the habit than I thought.
And once I came up with that, I thought, now it could be a series.
Maybe I can taper off.
At the same time, Bill Asher, who was the director and the producer of the show and also married to Elizabeth Montgomery, the star, came into Harry Ackerman's office at then Screen Gems TV, and they had an idea for a show called The Fun Couple.
They said, your idea is very similar to this. Read it and see what you think. We have it, and we like it.
And sure enough, instead of the woman being rich, she would be a witch.
And they went home and read it and loved it. And we were on our way.
So my wife's a witch. Every married man has to make some adjustment.
Early on, when this show was passed around to all the different networks, there were some studio executives and network executives who were concerned that it was going to promote Satanism or satanic cults. If Bewitched really had anything to do with Satanism, which I have to laugh about still today, I mean, Agnes Moorehead would have said something. This woman was the daughter of a fundamentalist minister. She was a very, very strong fundamentalist Christian. So if there was going to be any issues where this show was going to be evil, Agnes Moorehead would have spoke up.
Young man! Mother, don't!
Very well. Just consider yourself lucky that you are not, at this moment, an artichoke.
One of the great things about the show is that they were certain rules that the producers and the directors and the writers had. In other words, all of the witches' first names ended in A. And if Samantha cast a spell, it was only Samantha who could remove the spell.
Mr. Barker, I'm warning you.
What are you doing out here all alone?
Oh, I'm not alone.
It wasn't just constant magic, constant magic, constant magic. She would try to get out of a situation with her mind, with her wit, with her wisdom, with her humor, and only when push came to shove did she use that magic.
That's my client.
You don't want to even hear what happened.
I had the account all wrapped up. What am I supposed to do now? Bring Larry Tate a contract with Barker's paw print on it?
Everyone thought, well, she was very subservient on the show, or she really wasn't an independent woman. It's a really, really important point to remember is that it was Samantha's choice to live the mortal life.
All I want is the normal life of the normal housewife.
That's why you went to Paris.
Only went there for lunch.
She could have left at any point. She stayed because she loved him.
Samantha?
I know, no hocus pocus. So sue me. It was worth it.
Actually, the night before they filmed the pilot, they still didn't have a way on how Samantha was going to manifest her magic.
I wanted to find something in Elizabeth that no one else could do. That was her. And she had that habit of doing that.
And they're getting ready for bed, and Bill Asher turns to Elizabeth and says, honey, what's that thing you do, you know, when you get a little nervous, a little aggravated?
And she didn't know what I meant. And I couldn't do it, but I tried. And she said, well, I don't do that. I said, you do.
And so he pushed her so much that she did it just out of a normal nervousness. She twitched her nose. He goes, that's it. And the twitch was born. And it's a very, very important thing to remember is that when you do this at home, don't twitch your nose. You move your upper lip and the nose falls into place like this.
Napkins, ladies?
Elizabeth made witches likable and believable because she was likable and believable.
Elizabeth had a quality, like every little kid wanted Elizabeth for his mommy, and every big grown guy wanted her for his wife, and every parent thought that she would be the perfect daughter. She just had that quality that was real and lovable, and everyone identified with it.
Working with Elizabeth was wonderful. We worked together for 8 years, and in that time, there was never any problems.
I think my relationship with Liz was very, very mother-daughter, because there was so much time where she and I were on the set together, and I mean, when she'd get mad at me, she would call me Erin Margaret like my mom did. And I mean, I listened to her and I looked up to her, and I really thought of her as a mother figure, absolutely.
Samantha, are all our children...
Of course, darling. What did you expect?
I wanted the witch to pick for her husband a mortal who was an ordinary guy. And that was why we got Dick York.
There was a very strong chemistry between Dick York as Darren and Elizabeth Montgomery as Samantha on that show. You really believed that they were in love.
I just want you to know how lucky I think I am.
Thank you, darling.
Dick York left the show because he was in extreme back pain that he originally received on a movie that he did, and he just never recovered from that. And Dick Sargent later replaced him in the 6th season. When they replaced the Darrens, they didn't want to make it. There were all these different things came into being. Well, are we going to tell people that we're switching Darrens? Is Samantha going to divorce one mortal and marry another one? Are we going to have Andorra change Darren's appearance? But there was never any mention of it. One day, Dick York played Darren, and the start of the 6th season, Dick Sargent played Darren. Because the whole message of the show is that Darren had to be so unique a mortal that Samantha could only fall in love with one mortal. That was the whole point.
I imagine she's very lonesome for Donald. I beg your pardon?
You mean Darren?
Oh, yes. Yes, of course.
Well, I think that she only called him Darren once or twice, and throughout the series she would call him Durweed or Durwood or what's his name.
This must be, what's his name? Mother? This is my husband. This is...
There.
Bill Asher and Elizabeth Montgomery were shopping in Bloomingdale's.
And I was looking at something, and Liz was looking the other way, and she said, "There is Andorra."
And she had this big hat on, and she was dressed, you know, elaborately and elegantly. And Bill Asher had known Agnes Moorehead from a show he directed where she played, what else, a wicked witch.
I went over and said hello and introduced her to Elizabeth and asked her if she'd be interested in playing Samantha's mother. And she said, yes.
I don't think anyone of Agnes Moorehead's stature would have stayed with the show if she thought it was less than anything that she was worthy of. She came from the Orson Welles theater group, and you know, she had been Oscar nominated a few times. This was a very well-trained, well-experienced, well-respected actress.
people would ask her, they would say, what do you like about acting? She'd say, I love the illusion. And that's Agnes Moorehead.
Now I think I must be flying along. Good night, all. See you soon.
Marion Lauren as Aunt Clara was a wonderful character, and it was one of Elizabeth's favorite actresses to work with on the show. She was bumbling off screen and on. And strangely enough, she was a Shakespearean actor from the London stage that worked with Alfred Hitchcock, and she's a very serious actress.
She told a set guy one time when she messed up a line, he told her, don't worry about it, you're gonna mess them up anyway, and she corrected him, oh no, I have to learn these lines verbatim before I can screw them up. She wasn't just like that, she was performing that.
Oh, I was just looking at these doorknobs. How do you get it so brilliant?
Aunt Clara collected doorknobs. Well, so did Marion Lauren. So it was really, I mean, she was just an interesting character all the way around.
Oh, my stars, Aunt Clara, what happened?
Well, I got the spell all wrong, and I got all mixed in the spell, and I got landed in the middle of the freeway.
Oh, good gracious.
We made this series in about 3.5 days per episode. And on top of that, all of the magic and the things that could be done easily today were very hard to do.
If Elizabeth Montgomery was going to clear the room of furniture, she was going to wave her arms, and she had to hold that pose until the crew came in and got every stick of furniture, the rug, everything out, and then brought in the next set. And they actually came up with some, like, crutches type of thing that could be jacked up so that she could relax her arms and, okay, action, get back in position where she didn't move. Also, watch it without a sound effect. You'll see people move. Add the sound effect, and suddenly your mind is taken away from it for a split second, and you don't notice that Darren was here, and suddenly he's here.
I said I want to kiss you more than anything else in the world.
Go ahead.
Samantha and Darren were the first ever couple to sleep in one bed on TV. Rob and Laura from the Dick Van Dyke Show had twin beds. Remember those twin beds? Lucy and Desi from I Love Lucy, twin beds. Samantha and Darren, one bed. Samantha's parents, Agnes Moorehead as Endora and Maurice Evans, were separated. It was the first separated couple on TV.
You bring him back or I'll make your life miserable for you, and you know I can do it. I'll move in with you.
So Bewitched was allowed to address these issues that were not allowed a regular television show of the time because they were dealing with a magical premise in a fantasy world. And I think Bewitched really, segued all of the realistic TV shows that came, and the morals that they addressed and the hardcore issues that they addressed were already really addressed on Bewitched, only in a more subtle way or in a blanketed way.
Times have changed, Maurice. This happens in the best of families.
It does not happen in my family.
Well, it has. It's over and done with. I'm married.
We had no idea at all that it was going to be a hit, and a substantial one as it was. So we were very pleased.
Nick at Night used to say they were the top 2 shows ever done. I Love Lucy was first, Bewitched was second, and consequently Bill Asher did both of them. So I think there's some of your magic right there.
I mean, so you had this incredible group of actors and writers and directors who, never fell below, the level of only top notch, and putting this incredible show together.
Mother's often said that mortals are their own worst enemies.
You just said the one word I don't like to hear.
Enemies?
Mother.
I think Bewitched was popular at the time and is still popular because it had absolutely everything going for it. I think it had the perfect cast. It was brilliantly written. It was just a wonderful show.
And still is after all these years, after 40 years of being on the air, 5 days a week, sometimes 4 times a day, and it just tapped into a timeless quality.
There he is, Abner. That's the one who kissed me.
Don't make any sense, Gladys. He's got her. Why would he want to kiss you?
It was a peculiar mix of people who all seemed to like each other.
When you watched that show, you became bewitched by what you were watching, that you went inside that world because it became so real, because the acting and everything else having to do with it was so professional and so on the money in so many ways.
much.
You came to me for advice, I'll give you some. Now that you've had your honeymoon, why don't you take a vacation?